Good evening, everyone. It's Friday. It's rolled around once again. I don't know what kind of weather you've got wherever you are, but here in Redcar, we've had like 4 seasons in one day, and it's currently a bit tropical. And therefore, if you can hear a low thrumming noise in the background, it's because I've got a little kind of personal air conditioner going in the background. If it gets intrusive, I'll turn it off and have to find some other way to keep myself cool. Cheers. Let's see who we've got. I noticed that there were 70 waiting as soon as I hit the go live button. So that is a bit of a concern, actually. It's every Friday, about 4:30, I always end up thinking, what if I end up just sitting and talking to myself for an hour? Never happened yet, and thanks to you chaps, hopefully it won't. I see we've got Johnny Random was first in. I'll take the checkered flag this week, he says. Then we got Bridget Pollock and Danny Hancock. Scrolling down, we got Michael Palmer. Thank you for the air conditioner, Michael. It's doing absolute sterling work. And there's Edwin Toonan in, and who else we got? Grandpa Joe and Dave Stevens. So Dave Stevens, let me put you up on the screen, mate, because it's easier to read long messages when they're on the big screen. Can't join today, folks. Teching Steve Knightley, show of hands, who no doubt will demonstrate his considerable acoustic skills to us. Local tring beer tonight, and I'll catch up in the morning. Well, nice of you to pop by and hand in your kind of your leave of absence, mate. Thank you for considering us. Then we've got Jeff C and Gordo Canuck and Balder, who's on the Stella Unfiltered tonight. Rob Bald is now Balder. Yeah, I think I'd gathered that. I could probably have had that nickname, couldn't I? Balder. Then we've got Dan from Scott Guitars UK. Haven't seen you in ages, Dan. Long time no see. Hope everything's going all right. Then we've got Anton, and scrolling down, who else have we got? Dr. Gomez and James Hunt. And then scrolling further down, we've got Cornucopia, and who else we got in? Vincent Brennan. David Evans is there. So is John Ross and Michael Beliveau. So is Steve Muskie. Muskie's in, as he always announces. Then Sean House and Jimmy James. And who else we got? Reeled in 58. Jimmy James, did I say you already? I think I did, but I've just said you again there. And Chris Ottewell and Jim Cotter are in too. And we've got Savvy64. Rexomatic. Greetings from Phoenix. Greetings from Redcar, Rex. There's Gear View Mirror and Brad Matthews. And who else we got? Nancy Davis is there. Simon M. The Essex Cat. It's starting to fill up a little bit now. Then we've got Ian Clark and John Bassett and Russell Gibson. And scrolling down, we've got 60s Man and Phil. And who else we got? Thomas Mulvaney, nice to see you, mate. Colin Falcon's in, local lad to me. And there's William Forrest and Steve Lamb saying hello from Minnesota. There's Dudley Squat and Mick Brooks, Robster Boy, my pal Robert in the States. Who else we got? We got Lawrence Hastings, and then the chat refreshes and goes blank for a second. And Stuart Young. Podrick Floyd's in, so's Andy Nisbet, Johnny Love, Anthony McManus, PFY Guitars, Paul Bush, Frank Bolam, Cape Cod Dog, Silent Hybrid, Pablo Hank, another local chap. And then we got, I hope I don't pronounce this wrong, but Jerker Fried. Is that the correct pronunciation? Give me a clout if I'm wrong. Then there's Steve Entwistle and Tim Ford. And then who else we've got? We've got Nigel Arthur. Nice to see you, Nigel. And apologies, as I always say, if I've missed anyone's name there, but that is the roll call for this evening. Oh, I see we've got Johnny from the Budget Guitar Show. Nice to see you, Johnny. And Finn Auden Harstead. I do apologise if I've missed anyone. And you're dropping in all the time. Every time I look at the screen, there's another name there. Craig Stamen. Nice to see you, Craig. Excuse me, after all that talking, I need some lubrication. Right then, just another shout out, another reminder to let you know that if you have any questions, any comments, anything that you want to ask me or tell me, or anything that I can make a video out of, basically, ping me an email. You can put it in the chat, but as I often say, I'm not Rick Beato. I don't have kind of a whole army of minions kind of keeping an eye on the chat. And when I'm talking, it's difficult to kind of multitask and read and talk at the same time. So you can put it in the chat, but safer to send me an email, jrguitartuition@gmail.com, or you can go to the lessons page on my website where there's a contact form. The website is johnrobsonmusic.co.uk. The link is in all of the descriptions. You'll find it. And send me your question or comment or whatever it is you want to ask me. It's for this new upcoming series that I'm doing on basically viewers' questions and that kind of stuff. And I've already got a couple of those videos made. There's one in the pipeline, thanks to Mr. Hancock there, who's in the chat. A question that he asked me, that's going to be coming up. And, the more the merrier. The more questions you send me, anything at all music related, music theory, music practice, recording, anything at all, anything you're just curious about, and you want to ask me, as long as it's kind of not too personal, and I'll have a crack at answering it in the Wednesday slot, which is good in the I haven't even decided what I'm going to call it. Probably Wednesday FAQs or something like that is what it's going to be called. But that's coming up after the Learn My Licks series of videos is finished. And speaking of videos, I'm going to tell you what's coming up this week. As usual, no Saturday video this week. I only do those as sort of an overspill. When I've got time-sensitive content that I need to get out, before before gear needs to go back from wherever I borrowed it from, basically. So on Sunday, we've got that Paisley guitar that you saw me unboxing and doing the first impressions of yesterday, the Outlaw Coyote Basic. The full demo and review of that guitar is coming up on Sunday. And I will just say that that guitar proves an important and valuable point, because you will have noticed yesterday on the unboxing, if you watched it, that in the middle position, the pickups were out of phase, and I didn't know whether this was an intentional thing or not. And I spoke to the charming Rick from Back's Music and asked him about this, and he said, no, obviously that's just one that slipped through the net. Send it back and we'll send you one that where the pickups are correctly wired. I said, no, actually I quite like the sound. But what it proves is that, certainly as far as I'm concerned, they aren't cherry picking guitars to send me out good ones, and that's important, because whenever you do a review of any budget guitar, you always get somebody in the comments that comes out with, I had one of those once and it was awful, therefore they all are. Well, I've had a couple of bad Fenders. Does that mean that all Fenders are awful? Of course it doesn't. Any mass-produced product, there's bound to be some kind of bad ones that slip through the net. I know that for a fact, because before I did this for a living, back in the days when I had a proper job, I worked in quality control in an electronics factory. And, the way quality control works is you kind of take a sample of a batch that's going out the door. And, if all of that sample passed the quality test, then you assume the whole batch does. But sometimes bad ones slip out. So it just goes to prove that they aren't cherry picking good guitars to send to me. The ones that I get and do reviews on, they are, an honest representation of what you're likely to get if you order one. So that's Sunday's video, the Outlaw Coyote Basic from Paisley. Then on Monday, we have a solo from the 90s. Now think of a band that made it stratospherically big in the 1990s. And made the guitar cool again. Think of maybe an Epiphone semi-solid guitar with a Union Jack painted on it. I think you know which guitarist I'm talking about. We're looking at one of his. Anybody care to kind of venture any guesses on what that one might be? Then Tuesday, as usual, is a top 5 list, top 5 Tuesday, and I'm amazed I haven't done this video yet. I thought I had, but I haven't. I'm talking about the 5 essential effects that every working guitar, electric guitar player needs. I don't tend to have much of a pedal board. I have got one now, actually. It's got 3 pedals on it. It's got the channel switch for my amp, it's got a wah pedal, and it's got a looper, and that's it. So I officially have joined the ranks of the pedal board owners. But everybody needs certain effects, most of which, if I'm recording, I tend to add in sort of post-production, but, just the effects in general, the 5 most important ones to have. Then on Wednesday, it is the finale, the ending, the big finish, if you will, for the Learn My Licks series of videos, where we've done a couple of lessons on bass. We're going back to guitar for this one, but it's all about fingerstyle guitar, finger picking, basically. Now, I am not James Taylor or that style. I'm certainly not someone like Tommy Emmanuel, who can kind of is a fingerstyle god. But I can play a little bit of fingerstyle. I can bluff my way through it, and there's a very useful little fingerstyle picking pattern that I use and can come up with variations on it quite easily, and that is what's going to be the subject of Wednesday's video. And then Thursday, well, it's the final one of the 3 Faisley guitars that Bax Music sent me, the unboxing. This is a good one, actually. It's one of the... we've looked at 2 of the Outlaw series, the Outlaw Coyote Plus and the Outlaw Coyote Basic that you saw me unboxing yesterday. Well, there's another series of guitars that they've brought out, which is the Sunset series, and it's basically one of those that I'm going to be reviewing, unboxing on Thursday. It's a lovely Telecaster style thing with a little bit of a twist. If you look on the wall behind me, you can see the Frankenstein Telecaster back there, the Bodge Job home built parts caster with the P90 in the neck position. It's remarkably similar to that, and that's all I'm going to say for now. So those are the videos for this week. I'm just going to take a swig of beer and see what you've all been chatting about while I've been kind of making announcements and pontifications and pronouncements. There we go. Let's have a look and see what's been going on in the chat. I see a lot of people have got the fact that it's Noel Gallagher. It's not Live Forever. I've already done Live Forever. I did it as one of the Patreon exclusive lessons ages ago, and it's not Wonderwall because Wonderwall doesn't have a guitar solo. Johnny Random's got a question there. Question, why is it when we have a bad pint but still go back for more? Because you always hope the next one's going to be a good one, and it's going to put right the damage that the bad one did. It's like, that's always the excuse, isn't it, lads? When you're being out on a Saturday night, when you're a young man and you haven't got that off switch, like that we all develop as we get older. You get to a certain point in the evening when if you've matured a little bit and you think, I think I should probably make this my last one. When you're a young man, you don't have, I didn't have that when I was a young man. And you get to a certain point where, you're doing the old Technicolor yawn, if you know what I mean. And, it's, and then you wipe your mush and then you say, hey, I'm sorry, I must have had a bad pint. It's to say nothing of the 12 good ones that you had that led up to that bad one, Let's see, Peter Fletcher is saying, I think you should revisit a guitar with a locking trem system. There are techniques that make tuning string easy as a hardtail. I would not be without my Ibanez guitars with these trems. I've always thought, after I got over my initial fascination with back in the late 80s when everything was Floyd and Carla, or is it Kayla, mad, and I tried a few guitars with them. I came to the conclusion that a locking trem is kind of a sledgehammer to crack a walnut. Let me expand on that. I have two guitars here with tremolos. I have this one, okay, this lovely PRS S2 Standard 24 with a non-locking trem, and I have this one. This lovely Sire Larry Carlton S7, again with a non-locking trem. The trems on both of these guitars are bulletproof. You can do all of the dive bombing and everything that you want, and they don't go out of tune. Both guitars have got locking tuners. Both guitars have got well-cut, well-lubricated nuts, and well-made, well-put-together, trem systems. And you don't have to spend a fortune neither, because another guitar that I had with a trem a little while ago was one of the vintage V6 guitars, the Trev Wilkinson designed JHS vintage guitars. It was basically a Strat style guitar, and the trem on that was a Wilkinson trem. Looked, to all intents and purposes, like a standard Strat style trem, but there's a few little kind of tweaks and a few little kind of finesses to it, and that thing there, you could absolutely dive bomb the hell out of it, and it would always come back in tune. If you don't believe me, he's not so much on YouTube these days, but there was a guitarist who used to demonstrate stuff for JHS and vintage, a chap called Gav Coulson. And, he demonstrates the Wilkinson, that standard vintage-looking Wilkinson trem. And again, dive bombing it, getting all kind of eruption-y, kind of Van Halen-y with it. And it just came back in tune every time. So I don't really see the point of the locking trem. It's just so many moving parts and things to go wrong. Like, you need an Allen key and you need this. And it's just... I can understand why people... like them if they grew up with them and they kind of got used to the feel of them and everything. And I'm not going to criticize anybody's taste in what they like in a guitar, because I've got some pretty weird tastes in guitars. But it's just not something I want to revisit. PFY Guitars is saying, is it Don't Look Back in Anger? No, I did Don't Look Back in Anger absolutely ages ago. If you search on YouTube for John Robson, Don't Look Back in Anger, you'll find my video on it. It's back in the days when I was using a bit of a rubbish camcorder, digital camcorder that I bought from Amazon for about 30 quid to make the videos with. So the video quality is a little bit, well, let's not mince words, a little bit embarrassing by today's standards, but it was what I was using back then, and I'm not about to kind of erase my history and take all the videos down that got me here, because the only way to learn how to make YouTube videos is to make YouTube videos, and all of your kind of learning process and all of your mistakes and all of your experiments that didn't go quite right, they're all up there online. And it's just it's an honest representation of how I've got to where I'm going at the moment. And no doubt I'll look back at the videos that I'm putting up now in 5 years time and think, I can't believe I was thinking that was the right way to make a video. But so it is. Anyway, chaps, I'm just going to pour myself another flagon of ale. This evening's stream of verbal diarrhea comes courtesy of Heineken, by the way. The nice man from Morrison's Supermarket delivered a crate of it on Wednesday, and I've got to tell you, there's not a lot left. I shall just about make it through this evening, but there's going to have to be a resupply tomorrow, because the rest of the weekend without beer, that is unconscionable. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you tonight. That's not very flake worthy, is it? But it's still cold. Oh, what you're saying there, Johnny? Let's have a look. You're talking about the off switch after 8 pints I can't turn off. Yeah, it's the thing is, I've learned not to have whiskey in the house because I get to a certain point with beer and then I think I'll have a nightcap, because you can't get drunk off a nightcap, can you? And then it tends to get rather messy after that. I see what Time Profit in, and Craig Stamen. Yes, Carla Trems are the work of the devil. I had a Fender heavy metal Strat when they first came out back in the 1989. I think I got that. A Fender heavy metal Strat, and that had the Carla Spider Trem on it, and dear me, it was just, it was so high maintenance. It was ridiculous, and and I thought I was the only one that felt that way. Phil is saying, with a bit of fettling and fiddling, the vintage Strat Trem works great. Yeah, I mean, if you want evidence of that, well, go and listen to a Shadows tune, basically. No, Hank Marvin never did the kind of Eruption-style dive bombing, but, really is it how, when that sort of sound first came out, when you first started hearing that, it was, oh my God, what is this? I tend to think of that dive bombing and pinched harmonic kind of not pinched harmonic, but fifth fret harmonic, and just, kind of dumping the trem down. To me, it sounds so dated now. It's like hearing those Simmons drum kits. Do you remember those, where the drum solo would have a lot of boo noises in? Do you remember those? It's just, yeah, it was a fun sound effect for about 5 minutes, or for about 6 months back in the mid to late 80s. But I just tend to think of a trem as being something that it's just a nice way of adding a bit of proper vibrato to something. I'm warming to the trem ever since I got the that PRS S2. I am warming to the trem because it's a different character of vibrato than you can do with a finger vibrato. Poo Ninja is saying, heavy metal Strat, those were through neck. No, I don't think they were. No, it was a 25-inch scale, 24 fret guitar. Mine was, I think, if I seem to remember, I think it was HSS, but there was a HSH one as well. And it was in absolute lurid kind of 80s glam metal pink with black hardware. And I was so proud of it when I had it, because, I'd worked my way up, from awful guitars like the Woolworths Top 20 and the Satellite Les Paul copy. And I did have a bit of a sort of a going to the major leagues when I was at college, because I had a Les Paul Deluxe, a knackered Les Paul Deluxe with only one pickup working, and it had been given an amateur camouflage paint job, but nevertheless it was a Gibson Les Paul Deluxe. And then I was back in at the ground floor again with Squier Strats and Aria Pro cheap guitars and stuff. But in 1989, I got my first job after leaving college, and I had a regular paycheck coming in, and I treated myself to a Fender guitar, the heavy metal Strat. And, it wasn't really the guitar for me. It just wasn't. I don't know what I was thinking about. At the time I was listening to Jeff Healey, and I was listening to all kind of good, earthy, bluesy rock sort of stuff. And I bought this guitar that was, that wouldn't have looked out of place in the hands of somebody from Twisted Sister. So, don't know what I was thinking of, but you learn by your mistakes, don't you? Yeah, Craig, you had a heavy metal Strat as well, didn't you? Yeah, Bolt on. Let's have a look. Time Prophet is saying, I have to be honest, I use my fingers for tremolo more than the bar. Yeah, Craig Stamen, yeah. Not a lot of people realise, but Hank Marvin, can sweep pick like a demon. He's a proper shredder when he sets his mind to it, but it's like, well, why wouldn't he be? How long has he been practicing and getting good? it's it would be amazing if he hadn't learned a few tricks in his time. But yeah, he's a fantastic. And the thing is about Hank's guitar tone as well. You often think of it as clean, but go back and listen to some of those like early '60s Shadows recordings, especially something like Foot Tapper, and you can tell he's kind of driving that AC30 quite a bit, and it's got a bit of fur around the edges, a really good kind of edge of breakup sort of tone, but you just perceive it as being clean because his playing was so clean. Let's have a look. What else we got? What else we got in here? Pooh Ninja. Jeff Beck don't need no locking trem. I'm no Jeff Beck. I need one. Yeah, Jeff Beck's guitar though. I mean, I haven't kept current on it, but didn't his signature Strat have that big clunky looking Fender roller nut, which are apparently fantastic until you get the slightest little bit of dust or grit into the rollers, and then tuning stability is just completely out the window. I've never tried one, but that is, something that I've been told by people who have owned them. That surprises me, Time Prophet. Watched an interview with Dave Mustaine from Megadeth today, and his first album was Peter Frampton. That's a surprise. I would have thought that someone like Dave Mustaine would probably have started off with something like, Black Sabbath or Paranoid, or basically a Black Sabbath album, or maybe something heavy from that era. I wouldn't have pegged him as being, somebody that got into, music and guitar via Peter Frampton. Still, you live and learn. Megaloch Ellie is saying, what's your experience of resonator guitars? I'm the wrong person to ask, really. I've never owned one, although I am thinking possibly about remedying that. I have played, and don't ask me the model number because I couldn't tell you for the life of me, but a good friend of this channel, and he's usually in the chat, and he may crop up at some point, Bottleneck Bob. He came to visit me a couple of times, and one time he brought with him his Gretsch resonator guitar, and there's a video of me kind of demoing it somewhere up on YouTube from a couple of years ago. It was in 2020, round about one of the brief periods where we weren't under lockdown and we were allowed to, kind of meet other human beings. And he turned up with a couple of his guitars, and one of them was the Gretsch resonator, and it played nice. And you know what it sounded like? It sounded like a resonator guitar. All of those kind of, I always think that the one album that I listen to regularly that's got a lot of resonator guitar on it is the Eric Clapton Unplugged album. Like Running on Faith and stuff like that. I should really get a resonator guitar to do that slide solo from that song as a solo analysis. Yes, that might just be justified. Michael Broadhead, could you do a review of the Harley Benton Ricky 12-string copy? It's impossible to change the strings, apparently. Again, that's another type of guitar that I have been thinking about, is getting some kind of 12-string. Not really to use as a 12-string, though, funnily enough. It's for when I'm recording rhythm guitar parts, I've often thought about maybe having a Nashville-tuned guitar, which is basically the high strings from a 12-string set. Thinking about doing that, but it's it might be worth a punt. Getting either, because don't Faisley do a Ricky copy as well? I'm not sure if that's a 12-string, but either Harley Benton or Rickenbacker. I shall look into that. Balder is saying, have I pulled the trigger on the new bass yet? No, I haven't, because I've had to buy a new computer, so that's eaten up a big chunk of the guitar budget. I'm on the old one at the moment. The new one hasn't arrived yet, but this one is getting a little bit clunky and a little bit slow. And I mean, it's about 5-6 year old. What I do when I buy a computer, by the way, I never buy a new computer. Why would you buy a new computer? Because it's, you know, I mean, they depreciate faster than, the speed of light. I always go onto eBay and find a place that's refurbishing used computers. Usually either ex-local authority or business machines that have had like a fresh install of Windows and, had, a proper check over and everything. And I just bought myself something, a PC that's probably about 4 years old, and a bit of an upgrade for this one, which is about 4 years old when I bought it. And for like a quarter of what it would have cost new, less than a quarter of what it would have cost new, and I'll use it for 2 or 3 years and then get another one. I just basically always buy refurbished used computers. Anyway, that's why I haven't bought the new base yet. So hopefully the new computer will be up and running by next week, and hopefully it'll all be seamless. Lefty Pick is saying, I'd love to hear you playing a 12-string. Please do so. David Evans is saying, build a computer. I used to build a computer. They used to be at the Middlesbrough Riverside Stadium, the local football stadium here. Every Sunday, I think, was it every Sunday, or was it one Sunday a month? I think it was. There was a computer fair where you could go and buy a motherboard and a case and and stuff at like dirt cheap knockdown prices, and build your own machine. But A, I'm too busy to do that, and B, you could save a lot of money doing it that way. Then, building. The computers these days have come down so much in price, and the used refurbished ones, have come down so much in price that there's just no point. I'll just buy something used, refurbished, and then because I'm using it for my business, I get depreciation. I can sort of write that off against tax and what have you, and it just makes sense to do it this way. There's no way I'd buy a brand new computer, because it's like I'm going to buy a really good computer and it'll last me. I'll get a good few years out of it, because you won't. There's just technology moves on, and before it's anywhere near even kind of worn out or whatever, then it's that there are things that it can't do that you want it to be able to do, and it's all slow and kludged up. I have thought a few times about switching to Linux. I had a laptop, a knackered old laptop that was slow and clunky and was just unusable pretty much, and I put Linux on it, and suddenly it was a lot faster and a lot more efficient and worked. The only problem with Linux is that there's something you want to do that on Windows would take you like 5 minutes, because you need to install something and install this and get it up and running. And in Linux, that's an afternoon written off usually. Reeled in 58 is saying, I made some recordings with just a G string replaced for 1 octave high. That works quite well. Yeah, it's almost Nashville tuning. So let's have a look, see what else we've got going on in the chat. On the Fritz 602 saying, bought a refurb computer off Amazon for about 140 and it's about 4 years old. Yeah, time profit. I mean, I do a lot of video editing because I'm essentially putting out 5 edited YouTube videos plus a live stream every week. And I just use NCH Video Pad, and that runs on pretty much anything. It's I do all the video editing on that machine now over there. But it's not like for the kind of video editing I do, I don't need a very powerful graphics card and like the kind of thing that gamers would need, for instance, because I'm not into gaming either. Let's have a look, see what else we've got going on. Colm Crossbay is saying Linux Mint is your friend because it's very MS compatible and you can install Windows as a secondary operating system. That Linux Mint was what I put on the old laptop, actually. And back in the dim and distant past when I used to work in a tiny little community radio station in Redcar, all of the systems in there were on Linux Ubuntu. So I got pretty kind of savvy using Linux there because it's the whole sort of radio playout system and all of the kind of things of importing music onto the database and everything, because it's the days when disc jockeys were actually disc jockeys and used to have to kind of queue up a record and find and beat match and all that sort of stuff. Those days are long gone. It's all just MP3s now. Michael Beliveau is saying, what do you think of Behringer? I have two Behringer interfaces. I've got two PCs in here. Both have Behringer interfaces. One's got the older UMC 22 Euphoria, and the other's got the UM2 Euphoria. I've got what else have I got by Behringer? I've got a bunch of pedals by Behringer. I've got it's just caught my eye here. The Behringer Vintage Tube Overdrive, excellent tube screamer clone. It sounds like a tube screamer, it even looks like a tube screamer, doesn't it? And does the business. I think Behringer kit is absolutely fantastic. I've never had any problems with it, you just get it and you plug it in and it works. Gordo Canuck is saying puppy view. He's asleep downstairs. Poor lad, we've had him to the vets today. It's his own fault. He's half Labrador and therefore half walking waste disposal unit. And we had him out for a big long walk this morning. And the amount of stuff he gobbled down his neck off the floor. I remember pulling, something, I don't know what it was, but it was furry and it was dead out of his mouth at one point. And then we're about 5-10 minutes away from home on this long walk, and suddenly he starts expelling more toxic waste than Chernobyl. So had him to the vets, and they've given him some stuff to settle his stomach. And he's currently sleeping it off downstairs, so I'm not going to go and wake the Kraken. What was we saying? Behringer Reverb sounds a bit pants, though. Yes, Anton, I would agree with that. It's not a great reverb pedal if you like big, cavernous reverb and all the kind of stuff. But if you just want a subtle kind of kind of hint of reverb, just something to give a little bit of a halo around the sound, then keep the settings low and it works. So, I've been using one for a while now, and it doesn't do everything that a good expensive reverb pedal will do, but I don't want everything that one of those pedals will do. I just want something that's just a subtle hint of a halo around the sound, and it'll do that for you. John Max saying my Labrador is always making himself ill scavenging. Until he stops using muzzle, I had Lab Cross eat everything. Yeah, that is something that that the vet recommended, a basket muzzle for him, and we are going to look into that if this is going to continue. He is only 4.5 months old. Well, coming up to 5 months old now. So hopefully he's going to grow out of it. But if he doesn't, then there will be the old Hannibal Lecter mask involved at some point. What's the best way to connect pedals without having? Oh, sorry, that comment has disappeared. I think it was, what's the best way to connect pedals that don't have without having 4 adapter plugs? Just buy a pedal power supply. if I just pick you up and move you down here, I mentioned my pedal board earlier, but down there on the floor, you can see there's my pedal board. As I say, channel change for the amp and wah pedal and a loop pedal. That's all that's on there. And the Behringer reverb is in the effects loop of the amp. And that pedal board has a built-in power supply. And, so you just kind of plug the power into the pedal board, and then that distributes the power to the pedals. Easy. Anton, no, he doesn't. He doesn't eat pebbles from the beach, mate. No. Let's have a look. Do check out Cesar Milan on YouTube. He's the dog whisperer and will change yours and Dougal's life. No muzzle is needed. Thanks for the tip. I seem to remember when she was alive, my dear old mum used to rave on about a chap called Cesar. He was probably the same guy, a chap called Cesar on TV, who was called himself the dog whisperer. John Mack is saying, what pedal board is that? It's I can have a look at the brand. Hang on a sec. It's I think it's Aklot, Aklot pedal board. All I can tell you is I searched on Amazon for pedal board with power supply, and that was one of the ones that came up, and it was about 30 quid. Vincent Brennan is saying, Nuex Mighty Plug. Any thoughts on a review? Coming soon, Anton. Coming soon, mate. It's there's the box, one of these. I've had it for a while, but only just got around to reviewing it. So I shot the review this week, and I can, if you just give me a second, I can tell you when it's going to go out. Just log into my YouTube dashboard on this machine over here, and here we go. Let's have a quick wee look, and there we go to that. The Nuex NP2 Mighty Plug demo and review will be going out on September the 25th. So there you go. That's when the review will be coming up of that. John Robson guitarist highly recommends the Joyo JPO5 rechargeable power supply. No plugs needed on stage. It lasts for hours and hours. That's handy to know. A rechargeable power supply. Nice one. Thank you. Nice to hear from you, James, as well, by the way. And let's have a look. See what else we got going on. Is there a looper type pedal that allows you to stop and rewind the likes of YouTube videos for playing along? A pedal that can rewind and loop YouTube videos? I doubt it, mate. There is a way that you can get audio from YouTube videos. Of course, I'm not endorsing in any way, shape or form that you should breach any form of copyright laws, because that would be wrong. But if you go and look at one of my videos where I talk about 5 uses for Audacity, one of them is how to do exactly that. And one of the other uses is how to loop any audio, including that audio that you might have legally, without any copyright infringement whatsoever, got from a YouTube video, is how to loop that audio. So I do that all the time, legally, of course. And so you Audacity is a fantastic free utility. It's often overlooked and it gets a lot of bad press, but I record my podcast in Audacity. I do all kinds of stuff with it. It's great for figuring out solos because you can slow stuff down without affecting the pitch. Loads and loads of great stuff, and it's a free download, so why not have it? But yeah, you can use Audacity to loop audio, and you can use Audacity to get audio off from an external source. Let's leave it at that. So you can put those two bits together and, make of it what you will, basically. Balder is saying, will you be hosting the first ever annual Christmas quiz again this year? I missed the first of your Crimbo Day live stream last year. The sun is shining, Balder. The sun is shining. It still feels like summer, and you're talking about Christmas. Come on. I mean, I love Christmas, but I did used to prefer it when it was in December. That said, I mean, we've got Strictly Come Dancing starting at some point. The adverts are already on the telly, and as soon as you hear that theme music, all right, okay. That's Christmas coming soon then, don't you? So I'll probably be doing a Christmas Day live stream. It's we may turn that into a tradition. Like the Queen's Christmas broadcast. My husband and I. Oh, she can't say that anymore, can she? Dave Pegg is saying, why loop when there are loads of good free backing tracks on YouTube? At one point, mate, I would have gone along with that, but it's so handy for when I'm just sat here in a lesson talking down a webcam and I want to demonstrate, okay, and over this chord sequence, this lick will sound like this, to just be able to put that chord, just play that chord sequence into a looper and then demonstrate something. I am currently in the midst of recording a mammoth video course. I've had to put it on ice recently because of Dougal, basically. Because he can't be left unsupervised. But basically, it's a whole masterclass on melodic rock guitar lead playing. It was going to be like a Zoom thing where I did the Zoom Blues Masterclass, but when I got that Zoom Blues Masterclass was about 4 hours long, and by the time I got the lesson plan done for this melodic rock playing thing, the lesson plan was about 3 times as long as the Zoom Blues Masterclass. So I thought, I can't really do this on Zoom. The amount of time it's going to take is going to be prohibitive. So I'm recording it as a video course. And the looper is coming in absolutely invaluable in that, where I just want to demonstrate a concept quickly in a video situation without having to just make a 30-second backing track to demonstrate it over. So yeah, it's not something I jam with recreationally. If I'm going to do a kind of a jam kind of thing, then I'll go and find a jam track. But for convenience, for my particular needs, then a looper pedal is a handy thing. Plus, using a looper will drastically improve your sense of timing, and being able to kind of play, getting the loop to sound smooth is a real art. So it's if it can improve your playing, it's worthwhile having, and you can get them so cheap now. I mean, that little Lacato looper that I've got down there is better than probably that best-selling Ditto looper. And when that came out, that was a game changer because it was like cheaper than anything else. And this is about half the price of the Ditto one, and it does more. It's actually got a nice little display where you can see the loop going round, so when you're coming back to the beginning of it. Very, very useful. Anyway, chaps, I need more beer. Let's see if I can get at least one decent flake-worthy beer out for you this evening. Oh, this one's looking a bit foamy. It's looking promising. Let's see if I can kind of get a decent head on it, just so you can type the word flake in all good conscience. There we go. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. There we go. Not bad. Not bad, it has to be said. Everyone type flake. And Danny Hancock's first to the punch there. So let's see what else we got talking about. Paul Bush is saying, you mean we don't have to rewind the cassette recorder while turning the telly down trying to catch that missing solo note? I don't believe it. Is Thunderbird still on? Yes, you've just shown your age there, Paul. Very much the same as mine, mate. I remember probably about 1977. I got my first ever cassette recorder, and it had the little built-in mic. It was one of those ones with a kind of pull-out handle and the leatherette case, and you used to have to kind of hold it up to the TV when Top of the Pops was on, so you could tape your favourite songs. Again, not that I'm admitting copyright breaches. Pablo Hank is saying, have you heard of a guitarist called Christone Kingfish Ingram? I have. I've had a recommendation of him from one of my students, a chap called Derek, who is not usually into that sort of stuff. He's a kind of a bit of a kind of new metal, kind of black metal. There's all the different genres of metal these days, isn't there? But he's into that kind of like extreme kind of chuggy, shouty, kind of dugga stuff. And he was raving about this blues player called Christone Kingfish Ingram. And funnily enough, so I checked him out and was really impressed with a couple of things that I saw on YouTube. And then life got in the way and I never kind of went any further with it. But thank you for reminding me. I'm going to go and check him out again. Oh, thank you, Jason. Quick saying, let's put that up on screen. Quick plug for John's Making the Modes Easy course. I've had it for a year or two, but always worth a revisit, worth buying. Thank you. Yes, I've probably got a lot fatter since I recorded that. So if you want to go and see a skinnier version of this, then go and buy the course. Where are we? Nancy Davis is saying, what's for dinner tonight, John? It's Friday, so that means it's a kebab. Not that we've gone off curry. There will be a curry involved at some point over the weekend, and we've got this new, relatively new place in Redcar called Cluck and Moo, where they do sort of rotisserie chicken and artisan burgers. And just to let you know the kind of place it is, the smallest burger you can order from them is 8 ounce. You know, you can either have an 18-ounce burger or an 8-ounce burger rather, or a 16-ounce burger. And dear me, but their food is good. So that'll probably be... The thing is, because of the hours I work, I don't really get the chance for an evening meal most evenings. You know, it's like I'll just grab a sandwich and, you know, kind of have it at my desk, you know, or just eat, kind of sneak out of a lesson 10 minutes early and wolf down a pot noodle or something. So come the weekend, it's a treat. The weekend food is almost as much of a treat as the weekend ale. No Cylon hybrid, Cluck and Moo. I'm not joking. That is it. You can look it up. They have got a website because that's how you order from. Just Google Cluck and Moo Redcar, and Johnny Random is saying, John, you like jazz. I love the way you say that. You like jazz. You're weird. You like jazz. Check out Robin Adele Anderson's version of Ace of Spades. It is very cool. I shall check that out, mate. Thank you. And Michael Broadhead is saying, where did you get the Star of Prammon glass? It means Old Spring, not reverb. We have a pub not 100 yards from our house. It's called the Cleveland Hotel, and they have Star of Prammon on draft in there. And one morning, as I was walking the dog, on the wall outside the pub, where let's call it the naughty step, the cigarette step outside the pub, where all the smokers come and bring their drink outside and have a smoke. 6 o'clock one morning, I was walking the dog, and this very glass was on the wall outside. So I thought, hello, yes, thank you very much, I'll have that. And of course, disinfect it, give it a good wash. And it has been my beer glass of choice ever since. So there you go. That's where I got it from. It sort of came home with me on a dog walk from being left outside the local pub. I always figured that basically if they were kind of that interested in keeping it, they'd have sent somebody out to get it and got it off the wall the previous night, but they didn't. So I had it. PFY Guitars is saying, I looked them up, but they don't deliver to Ayton. They're only like, it's a great thing about Redcar, okay? This little seaside market town where I live, everything is within walking distance. There's it's a good job really, because I don't drive. I've never passed a driving test. The driving instructor would say, look at the curb. I'd say, I can't see the damn curb. There's a big lump of metal called an engine in the way. I never ever got it together, in terms of controlling a piece of machinery called a motor car. Just never ever came naturally to me. And at the end, after I think 12 failed attempts at my test, I thought, I'm just chucking good money after bad here. So I gave it up. And luckily where I live here, everything you need to find is within easy walking distance. The furthest I ever have to walk is probably a half-hour walk to get to the local branch of Aldi, and then I think it's a £3 taxi fare back. So it's just not something. Possibly one day. Bucket list kind of thing. I'll look at kind of passing me test and again, but at the moment, it's not a priority. But Nancy, I'm with you there. I'm with you. Where the worst thing in the world is a pint in a plastic glass. I'd rather drink out of the can, to be honest with you. Nella Yema, or Alan, Amy, as I now know you're called, bass players can drive. They can, it's the one. We're all allowed, I would contend this, we're all allowed one thing that we can be rubbish at, and for me, it's driving. We're all allowed one kind of thing that we're really good at, and we're all allowed one thing that we're rubbish at, and the one thing I'm rubbish at is driving. Probably the one thing I'm good at is kind of talking crap. But there you go. Let's have a look, see what else we got going on. Oh, Grandpa Joe, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you so much. John, a beer for you and get some treats for the sick pup. Always enjoy the show. Well, thank you much. If I were from CGS, I'd give you that little jingle now, but I don't know how to do that. I'm sorry, but you are an absolute gentleman and a scholar. Thank you so much. And on that note, chaps, let me put it this way. What goes in has got to come out, and we've been on nearly an hour, and there's a kebab turning up in a few minutes. So I'm going to wrap things up there. Thank you once again, each and every one of you. As I say, 4:30 every Friday, I always start thinking, what if I'm talking to myself for an hour? And it never, ever happens, and I never run out of things to say. I look forward to this every week without fail, and I'll keep on doing it till you're sick of me. But for now, time, gentlemen, please.